Today's lesson is all about formulas. So we're going to talk about formulas. We're going to talk about how to set up formulas, how to solve for specific variables in the formula, kind of all of that stuff, if that makes sense. So what is a formula? So a formula is an equation in which variables are used to describe a relationship. So remember, equations are going to be those things that have equal signs. This is just some examples of some equations. So we talked about these in class. The first one is going to be the perimeter of a square. So if you remember that a square is going to have all four sides are going to be the same. Whenever you find perimeter, you add up the outsides. So those four things added together will give you the perimeter. The second one is the area of the circle. So you take your pi times your radius squared. One example I said in class today was that I'm working on building my own drums, and so I had to figure out a way how to cut a perfect 14-inch circle. So what I did is I put a peg right in the middle of a piece of wood, and I measured out 7 inches, which is be my radius, and then I just took that in a big circle and I made a perfect 14-inch circle. So anyways, the third one is something called interest. So that's dealing with a bank account. It's dealing with the principal, which is the amount you stick in at the beginning, your interest rate that you're getting on whatever loan you're using, and then T is equal for time. And then finally, the last one is going from Celsius to Fahrenheit. So that's just one of those interesting temperature things that we don't really, obviously we use Fahrenheit here in the United States, but if you ever have to convert those, that's kind of what that looks like. So anyways, this is the kind of first one. So just like in all these videos before, what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of go through the example, and then I'm going to let you work one on your own. I would encourage you to try these, especially on your whiteboards or just on a piece of paper or something like that. And so just so you know, all the examples are going to be exactly like the examples that I do, just with different numbers. So the main goal today is trying to figure out how to set them up, what they look like, and stuff, and how they work. So anyways, it says find the value of the remaining variable, and it has this p equals 2l plus 2w, and we know that our p is equal to 14 and our w is equal to 7. So the first thing I do, and this is what I do all the time, is I try to figure out what this is asking. So again, just like that other equation that had p equals 4s, this is going to be the perimeter, and then the L is the length and the W is the width. So for me, that is going to be a rectangle, where this is my length, this is my width, there is my length, there is my width, right? And so that's where the 2L comes from, right? Because I have to take this one and add this one to it, and the 2W, I have to add that one and that one, if that makes sense. So that's the first thing I do, is I just like to get a visual, so that way at least I have an idea of what's happening, because sometimes I don't. So then I go to P equals 2L plus 2W. So then what I do from there is I just plug in where I can. Do I know what P is? Well, if I come up here, I see that P is 14. And then I think I changed that actually. Let's change that to 24. And then here, 2 times L. Well, I don't know what L is, so I'm just going to leave that as 2L. And then here I have 2 times 7, because 7 is my width, right? So then I'm just going to start to simplify. Well, I'm going to take us through the first step, and then I'll kind of talk through. Basically what I mean by that is I'm just going to multiply 2 times 7 and get 14. So now I'm exactly where I was last week. So here's the variable I'm solving for. The first thing I'm going to do is subtract 14 from there. Subtract 14 from there. You get 10 equals 2L. And then multiplication property of inequality, or equality, divide by 2, divide by 2. So I get that 5 equals L. So, and that kind of makes sense, because if this is 5, this one's 5, that's a total of 10. If this is 7 and this is 7, that's 14, and 14 plus 10 is 24, so that's what I'm looking for. So anyways, the keys again, what I do, make my picture, set up my equation, fill in what I know, and then kind of start to do the math. So go ahead and take a minute and try this one on your own. Okay, just to set this one up, and then I'm going to pause again in case you're struggling setting it up. So that's what it should be. So 2 times 25 is 50. We're going to subtract 50 from both sides. We're going to end up with 76 equals 2L. Divide both sides by 2, so we're going to get L as 38. Okay? So that was pretty straightforward. Okay? So again, set up that equation, fill in where you know, and kind of go from there. Now, A farmer has 400 meters of fencing material to enclose a rectangular field. The width of the field is 20 meters less than the length. Find the dimensions of the field. So again, I need my box because I do. I know that the width is 20 meters less than the length, but I don't know what the length is. So I'm going to call the length L. Now this is where it gets a little interesting. How do you write 20 meters less than the length? I'm writing that as L minus 20. So my width is L minus 20 because it's 20 meters less than my length. So hopefully that makes sense. I'm actually going to utilize that same exact equation, except for this time, here's my perimeter. I still don't know L, but in this case, it's no longer W, but it's L minus 20. Okay. First step, distribute. Start over again. Right? Combine like terms. Hello, sir.
Hello. Here you go.
Awesome.
Yeah, I even talked to one of the workers.
And they were like,
She was like, well, if we have it, it's back in electronics. Like that. There was no...
Nothing.
They had gift cards for like Xbox and PlayStation.
But not GameStop.
No, not that I saw. I could have missed it. It could have been... But I went over the whole rack.
No,
twice.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, I'm recording my video right now for my class.
Oh, shoot.
No, you're good, dude. They're good. Yeah.
Why isn't that awful?
No, it's not terrible. Right? See, guys?
Yeah. Oh, no. Is it actually recording?
Yeah, it is. You're good.
You're using this?
Yeah, I'm using it. I tell them all the time I do it. No, for some reason in OBS I can't pause it. Like, there's no pause setting in this.
So they're going to see all this?
Yeah. It's going to be fun. All right, so anyways, so you have 440. Thanks, Austin. I appreciate it. Divided by 4. So here, sorry about that, guys. You're going to get the L is equal to 110. Now, this says find the dimensions of the field. So since the length is 110, which we figured out, in order to find the width, how would we do that? Well, it says here that the width is 20 meters less than that. So I think that 20 meters less is just going to be 90. And that's going to be our width of our field. So hopefully that made sense. Again, plug it in. This is probably the hardest part, figuring out this L minus 20 thing. Distribute where you can. Combine like terms because they're on the same side of the equal sign. Add 40, divide by 4, and then we're good to go. I'll give you a couple minutes to try this out. So sorry I didn't say it quite easily, but as you move forward, I'm going to kind of set it up. So that's where you should be. So go ahead and try to solve that from there. If you didn't get that, start from here. It's totally fine. If you didn't get that, start from here and see if you can solve that. Okay, distribute the 2 to both the L and the 50. Combine like terms. Add 100 to both sides. So you get 900 equals 4L, divide by 4. So you get L is equal to 225. Again, that's the length. To find the width, remember the width at this time is 50 meters less. So I think you're going to subtract 50 from that. So you get 175 for your width. So length of 225, width of 175. Okay? So hopefully that makes sense. All right. This is where it gets a little bit more intriguing. The longest side of a triangle is 2 inches longer than the medium. The medium is 7 inches longer than the... And then I changed this to a... Gosh, what did I change it to? Sorry. 37. Sorry. If the perimeter is 37 inches, what are the length of the 3 triangles? Again, I need my triangle because I don't know. And then I can make a little bank over here. So I have a small, a medium, and what do they call it? Long? I'm just going to say large. Okay, so here, I don't know the dimensions of any of them. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to call my small x. Now, I know that the medium is 7 inches longer than the shortest side. So that's got to be x plus 7. And then finally, it's got to be 2 inches longer than the medium side. So if the medium side was plus 7, 2 inches longer would be x plus 9. Okay, so again, this is x. This one is 7 inches longer. And this one is technically 2 inches longer than that one. So that's why it's going to be that. Now when I get perimeter, remember, just like a square, I'm going to add all these together. And I know that that is supposed to equal 37. Here's an x, here's an x, here's an x. That's going to give me 3x. Here's a 7, here's a 9. I believe that's 16. And then I'm in business, right? Subtract 16 from both sides. Divide by 3. So x is going to equal 7. Now, again, it says find the lengths of all 3 sides. So my small is going to be 7. Remember, my medium is 7 inches longer than that one. So that should be a 14. 2 inches longer than that one. Should be a 16. Now, remember, if you want to, you can check, add these together. 16 plus 14 is 30, plus 7 is 37. So I did it correct. Okay? Give this one a shot. So similarly, oh no, I don't like the way this did this one. Sorry. For some reason it didn't say my other one. Okay, so this is x. This one is 5 longer, and this one is 6 longer. So again, I think we're going to do x plus 5 plus x plus 6 is going to equal 32. 1, 2, 3 x's. And we're in business. Subtract 11. So again, the 3 sides. For Pearson, you're gonna have to put 7, 5 longer than that, which is 12, and just 1 longer than that, which is 13. And we're good to go. Okay. So let me get through this. Okay. This one's kind of a quick one. So the area of a triangle. So remember, if this is a rectangle, right, and this is my base and this time height, I would say that the area of the rectangle is area is equal base times height, right? In order to find a triangle, all I have to do is cut that in half. So all I have to do is cut that in half. Okay? So now, this is our formula. We could say that 128 is equal to the base times my height all over 2. And we're in business again. The first thing I would do is multiply this side by 2 and multiply this side by 2. So I get 256 is equal to base times 16. Divide this by 16. Divide this by 16. So I get 16 is equal to the base. And that's what I'm looking for. So again, hardest thing is probably setting up the equation. Once you have the equation set up, right, multiply both sides by 2, divide by 16, and then you're good to go. Okay, so go ahead and give this one a shot. So there's your formula. There's that. What they did here is that instead of multiplying both sides by 2, they just divided this 24 by 2. So it works the same way. And you get 10 is equal for your base. Okay. All right, the final thing that we did is that sometimes, and you'll deal with this in your chemistry, if you go to take chemistry, you'll deal with this a couple different times. But if you're given a formula with multiple variables, 3, 4, 5, whatever, if you're asked to solve for specific variables, can you do it? Well, I'll show you how I do it. I put a box around the variable that I'm trying to solve for, and then I just go through and you will use the same steps as we do for anything else, okay? So here, solve I equals PRT for P. So I have I equals PRT for P. So the first step I do is I put my line, I put this around here, So what I see here is I see that the p is being multiplied by the r, which is being multiplied by the t, right? To solve for this, I think what I need to do is I just need to divide both sides by RT. And I can do that at once because everything is being multiplied. So these are going to simplify, these are going to simplify. So my answer is just I over RT is going to equal P. And I'm done. So as long as they're being multiplied, you can divide everything at once. You don't have to do it like divide by R and then divide by T. You could just do it all at once. Okay? Go ahead and try this one. Solving this time for T. So again, they put their variable they're solving for in blue, but you divide both sides by PR, so we get I over PR is equal to T. And you're good. Okay, this one, just kidding. I took this part out. We're gonna solve for R here. Okay, so again, I'm gonna rewrite it. Okay, the first thing I'm gonna do, again, oh sorry, there's an R in there. I'm solving for this R. This is a big cluster, right? There's a bunch of stuff going on there. I'm not gonna mess with that first. The first thing I'm gonna take care is I'm gonna take care of this guy. So I'm gonna actually subtract 2 pi from that side and subtract 2 pi from that side. The key here is you have to recognize that these are not like terms, so they can't combine. So it's literally gonna be that. And then this one does exactly like we just did. So if I'm solving for R, I want to get rid of everything else on here. So my final answer is going to be S minus 2 pi over 2 pi h. So one thing that we talked about in class was why do these 2 pi's not cancel? And the reason is because the top is being subtracted. If this was S2 pi, so like if it was one gigantic thing where everything's multiplying, then yes, you can simplify. Because it's S minus the 2 pi over 2 pi h, then you can't simplify. So go ahead and solve this for h. So there's h, it's in red. Again, the first thing they're going to do here is subtract 2 pi r from both sides. Oh, sorry, 2 pi r squared from both sides. And then you end up with this cluster. So you just divide by everything except for the h. You end up with that, and you can't simplify. Okay? The final example is this one. The first thing I would encourage you to do is to distribute it. So we get A equals P plus PRT. Okay. I'm solving for this variable. I have this guy that's kind of separate. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to subtract P from both sides. Again, the A and the P, unlike terms, can't do it. And we're good to go. Solving for T, again, you get your cluster here. Divide by everything not in the cluster, or not in the cluster that you don't want to keep. So I think we get A minus P over PR is equal to T. Go ahead and solve that for R. First step, distribute. Same thing, subtract P from both sides. This time you're left with that. You're trying to solve for R. Divide both sides by PT, and that's your final answer.